What's checking, everybody? Welcome to House Divided on a Monday here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Chad Hastings. We do this show every single day, Monday through Friday. Right now, Steve Sarkisian just finished his Monday press conference. We'll react to that. Obviously, we've got a lot of Arch Manning, a lot of Quinn Ewers to get into. Like, subscribe, comment on the page. By all means, jump into the Specs chat. Feel free to super chat away. We will stop what we're doing to take your money and read your comment and ask whatever question you might have. Whatever you want to do with your super chat, it's kind of up to you. You can ask Chad to do crazy Lou Holtz things, but don't send $1.99. Like, we're trying to raise the bar a little bit. We want him to be more Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman and less Kit from Pretty Woman. For those of you that love a good outdated movie reference to get a week started. Chad, your initial reaction to what Sarkisian said today, right? He just finished up. There were some newsy things in that. They're officially listing Quinn Ewers as questionable, and he's day-to-day. We'll get into some of that here in just a second, but any reactions to what it is that he said?
If they bring hand grenades, he brings pins, I think is my overall reaction. A little bit less than half the questions were about quarterbacks. He's got such a measured way of dealing with it. And if he can just handle this thing, catch the way he's been doing, he's got a chance to pull off one of the craziest cool things anybody's ever seen in the history of college football. And it's just to say, Arch is just another guy on our team. And I don't talk to Arch about those specifics. And I don't talk to Quinn about this. And I don't talk to the team about, we go about our business and we do. To lay it all out like he did, I thought it was great. His calmness is phenomenal. And I'll keep saying it, as long as Quinn, Arch, and Steve Sarkisian fully understand what this is, and it feels like they all do, man, what a time to be a Texas Longhorn football fan.
Yeah, look, I said this in the overreaction show earlier this morning with Anwar, but it feels like Texas very realistically has two of the top 10 quarterbacks in America. I don't know where exactly Arch fits on the list, but you can start counting teams as high as Ohio State, I think, in the top 10 and say, would they rather have their guy, or if they could take Arch Manning right now, who would they take? Even in the top 10, I think most of the schools in the top 10 would take Arch Manning. And I think their coaches would certainly take Arch Manning, knowing all of the implications. It's kind of funny. I asked you that same question in the summer about Weigman, Arch or Weigman, and your response was like, well, look, it's Arch Manning. Like, you know what? That'd be fun to live a Manning experience for a year or two, let alone like kind of how good he is. So Texas is kind of Michigan literally in the last 15 minutes has announced a change at the starting quarterback position as they go into their USC game, I guess their opening Big Ten game for the season. Texas is in a very enviable position where the backup quarterback isn't just a name, but he's really good. What we saw from Arch on Saturday was really good. So, believe me, there will be seasons when it's not quite like that. And there have certainly been seasons where it's not like that. So you appreciate that the football gods have tapped you on the shoulder, allowed you to be the chosen one right now. Because you know what? There's another world out there where Arch Manning transfers after this season. What? I'm not starting right away? Well, I'm out of here. And he's the starting quarterback for Ohio State or something like that. And Quinn Ewers gets hurt and Trey Owens is out there. And I don't mean that to say anything disparaging about Trey Owens, Chad, but this situation is almost unlikely in the way that it exists. It is not the norm across college football that all the dynamics inside of it are what they are. This is not something that you see very often in the world of college football. The closest thing I kind of get to it is Tim Tebow in 2006 when he was a true freshman and Chris Leak was the starting quarterback. That team goes on to be as good as it was. And still, it always felt like for a guy like Chris Leak, who was a starting quarterback on that team, that Tebow kind of got the Arch Manning treatment. And it's not apples to apples, but it's about the closest thing that I can come to. And this week is more exciting because Arch will play. I hate to say it for Quinn, but if Quinn plays, it's kind of like ho-hum. At what point do we think Quinn comes out of the game? How many touchdowns does he throw for the Heisman? Those boring things, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's Arch Manning's first career start in all likelihood. And I'll be honest, I'm way more interested in Saturday's game than I think I would have otherwise been. It's not fair to Quinn, but yeah, I'm interested to see what this Manning fellow can do.
And again, for clarification, Ketch already said it, but questionable for Quinn Ewers. Sark made an interesting comment about next week when it's an SEC game and that injury report starts, he would have been questionable. Then he was asked to clarify for this week, and he again said he's questionable, and it's a day-to-day situation.
So we've got some super chats that are stacking up.
We do have super chats stacking up. That's exactly where I was going. We'll start with the 10 spot.
Hold on.
All right, we won't.
For just a sec.
You're not starting with super chats.
Well, no, I'm asking you a question about starting with super chats.
Okay.
Because we are going to talk about the Quinn Ewers injury and some intel on that is different than what we heard from the press conference. The problem is once we jump into that, that's going to take over the show for a while.
Yes, I think that's probably fair.
So I'm just game planning, in real time, super chats, and then the specifics on the Quinn injury, right?
I said, let's grab a couple super chats,
Okay.
Get a little warmed up, and then we'll get to that intel. In the press conference, Sark was asked about Quinn and when he kind of, when the injury happened. He talked about the throw to Helm. Hold that thought. We will get there. And the latest that Ketch is hearing about maybe the timeline of everything. Super chats already rolling in, including Clint's $10. Only critique I have is that we can't forget that Quinn got us to where we are. It made me a little frustrated when Quinn went down and our fan base is cheering because Arch is in. Am I overreacting?
Clint, I wrote about this in my 10 thoughts from the weekend. I would suggest it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's that whole elephant in the room thing. We have to at least talk about it a little bit. Yeah, man, it was uncomfortable. You can close your eyes and imagine that Quinn was in the tent being tended to by doctors when he hears multiple roars during that time. And all of the roars sound different than the previous roars while he was in the game. Chad, I had somebody mention, and look, we're not making a big deal out of this storyline. I didn't even write about this specifically, but I had somebody message me yesterday. And this comment is the reason why I wrote the column that I did, but I didn't mention this specifically because I didn't want to start a bunch of stuff. But I had somebody who knows Quinn Ewers who sent me a message that said, Quinn loves Texas. Texas loves Manning. And I was like, oh, damn, man, no. That's harsh. But we can all admit that the pop, when you can't fake wrestling pops. Boy, the WWE tries, right? You bring somebody out and you want them to be able to work the mic, and they're not all Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock. Some of those guys go out and they cut their promos, and it just, no matter how bad you want it to be for that guy, sometimes it just hits different when The Rock comes out before he even does anything. Arch gets the Stone Cold Rock. When that glass shatters, DKR goes nuts. And, it's a little bit different for everybody else. I know that Sarkisian answered a question today from Anwar about how do you deal with the whole Arch and the Quinn thing. And Sark was like, well, I don't really do anything because these guys make it so that I don't have to do anything. They're just normal kids, and Arch is all about the team. And all that is awesome. And Sark answered that awesome. But in reality, we know there was probably a moment where Quinn was on the sideline on Saturday, and he was probably thinking to himself, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but to be clear, I think that you got to be kidding me is just about the injury. Quinn Ewers could not have been surprised.
No, I think there would be a you got to be kidding me about the size. I'm just telling you, I've heard from people behind the scenes that, like, he feels it. He hears it.
Right. But he knew it was, he has to know that was coming. He has to know. He has to know. He didn't film that Dr. Pepper commercial and say those words.
Go back to the New Orleans deal, right? Go back to the media day at the Sugar Bowl, the pictures of the starting quarterback looking over his shoulder as his backup is being mobbed. He feels that. Look, it's not a thing. It's not the kind of thing that we would need to do a show about and write about in specific detail. It's not like there's a wedge or anything, but there's a thing. Yeah. Quinn feels it.
And Clint, to be fair, I think hopefully Quinn is able to understand that the fans were not cheering his injury.
Correct.
They're not cheering that he's hurt. They're cheering because they happen to love the backup quarterback.
Feel that they're cheering louder for him.
They are. Catch, to your analogy, and you gave the perfect example on one side. Here's the example I would give on the other side. Quinn is Bret the Hitman Hart, and Arch is Stone Cold.
Yeah.
There's just a different pop. Is Bret Hart loved? Hell yes. Is he one of the best ever? Hell yes. Is he a badass? Hell yes. But when the glass breaks, I'm getting chills saying the words. When the glass breaks, it's different. It's different than The Rock. It's different than The Undertaker. No. It's different than almost, I can't even think of modern day, maybe Brock Lesnar, because he doesn't show up very often. And it's kind of like, wait, is he actually here? But Stone Cold is a different animal, even more than Hogan today.
Yep.
It's just different. So hopefully everybody understands that. But if you're a Texas fan, Catch, you kind of said a version of this earlier, but it's hard to curtail those feelings sometimes. Your feelings are your feelings. Love is love. And that outward organic is what it is. And it's going to be there.
George Strait has a former #1 song, You Can't Make a Heart Love Someone.
That's a good call. Yeah.
And the whole song's about, if I could, I'd love you.
Now, but Catch, where I think the comment you got is incorrect is I think Texas loves both of them. The notion that Quinn loves Texas and Texas loves Arch, they love both of them.
Look, and I'm not saying I bought the statement that a person gave me.
Yeah, but that
I'm just saying that's hardcore.
It's different, right? You love different things in your life different ways. And the way Texas fans feel about Arch, they have only felt about a handful of dudes that have played football here. And we can
count them out. You've been around a long time. It's Vince.
Yeah, that's one hand. Vince, Ricky, Earl. Who's another one that's that magical to them? I can't think of another one that's that level of magic.
I was thinking young players who, from that standpoint, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're probably right. I was thinking of Cedric Benson got a little bit of this.
When
he was a true freshman and he wasn't the starter, and the Longhorns would be winning 45-7.
Yeah,
and in would come Cedric Benson in the fourth quarter, and suddenly everybody rose out of their seats and gasped in ways that they didn't do for the starter. If only Mac would have done for Hodges Mitchell the year before.
If only Mac Brown could have let that actually organically be what it should have been, we could have really seen if Cedric went to that level of magic. But that season also had that eye roll to it. Eye roll of, oh, really? Now he's ready? Now he's ready. Okay, thanks.
And Cedric in the end is beloved, but he's not beloved like Ricky was.
Right. It's just, a little different. It's a little different.
You're probably right. But the answer's still the same. You can count them on a couple of fingers, maybe 3 at the most. And so it's not the kind of thing where, Quinn should, the other thing, the elephant in the room on this is I'm told that winning the Heisman is a big goal for Quinn. It's something he wants to do. It would be a dream come true. And I have also been told that he's fully aware of what this UTSA, La Monroe, Mississippi State stretch would represent for a Heisman campaign. That, there will be games later in the year when you're not putting up. He was having a heater on Saturday. If that injury doesn't take place,
oh God,
he finishes with 5 touchdown passes.
He was slaying them.
I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, the night ends. Texas is still the number 1 team in the country today, as they already are. And he would have had a monster stat line. I think he probably was going to have a monster stat line next week. He knows that this would have been, for a guy who's already entering last week as the betting favorite, this would have set him up. So I think there's just some frustration about he's not playing. It's the Heisman. His team's number 1. It's his team. So there's a lot that if you're Quinn Ewers on Saturday night, you were processing around in your brain. And oh, by the way, there was probably a mind melt over the concept of, wait a minute, we're number 2 in the country because of me. And yet I can't quite get that. It's an elephant in the room. Quinn causes DKR. Someone else made a point on Orange Bloods earlier today, Chad, and I think it's a good one. Will Texas fans be self-aware enough to know how wild they are about Arch that when Quinn comes back, and understand this, Quinn's got 5 home games left in his career.
You hope. Yeah.
Well,
right.
I'm including games he's potentially going to miss. There's 5 home games on this schedule left.
Yeah, that's true.
After Saturday, there's 4. So we're getting to a point where Quinn's, if Quinn was on the sidelines and was thinking to himself on Saturday night, man, this was 6 games, including tonight. That's all I ever get to play in front of this stadium. I want to eat it up and soak it in. And when Quinn comes back, will he get an Arch roar? And it might be Georgia. It could be Mississippi State. It could be Georgia. But when he returns, will he get an out-of-the-way welcome that, again, would 100,000 fans have enough self-awareness to know that when he comes back, make that guy feel that loved, that it actually would mean a lot to him.
You just asked, and technically you just asked 2 different questions. Will he get the Arch pop? No, because that's the Arch pop. Will he get a pop that's a little bigger than it would have been? He damn well better.
Yeah.
He damn well better. And I think Texas fans understand I think they're self-aware enough to get it. And Catch, you had a phrase there that I didn't hear at the press conference. The one thing Steve Sarkisian didn't say is this is Quinn's team. I wonder if he says it at some point. I wonder if he gets pushed to say it. And I wonder if number 16 will say it. Because the one way to put every pin in every grenade is for the coach and Arch Manning to both say that.
They don't think that needs to be said.
I understand. I'm just saying if either of them gets pushed to it, like if a snarky media member says to Arch Manning, Arch, have you thought about what it'd be like if you're badass the next 2 weeks and you want to play against Oklahoma, but Quinn's healthy? Like if somebody does that, Quinn's answer could be, hey man, it's Quinn's team. Whenever Quinn's ready to go, he's the quarterback. And then it's done. But it could also be, Arch could also answer that with, hey, I'm gonna leave it up to the coaches. Right? Like that could be on the horizon. So
what other super chats do we have? Because I want to make sure we don't completely bury the lead.
Okay. Let's see. Couple super chats. This one came in earlier from Oscar, $4.99. I know Chad calls it a circus, but Chad, you have to admit this is better than the Connor versus whatever his name is Carney show. Oscar, you enjoy what you're getting to see with these 2 guys. We will. It does not need to be compared.
I do not want to take your bait.
You cannot compare it to anything else right now, nor should you. Carrie for $4.99, 30,000 fans. stayed for the entire game because of Arch. In a normal year, that stadium is half empty in the fourth quarter in a blowout game. You're right, Kerry, because he's Magic. You stay for Magic. If you knew Magic was coming, you're going to stay. That's why you stayed. Ketch made a perfect example. The Tebow thing, the Tebow comparison football-wise isn't apples to apples in terms of usage, who he is on the team, and all that. But magically, it is. It's absolutely that same kind of thing. The people that dog Tebow deny the magic of that guy. And if you're denying this Arch thing, that's what you're denying.
And he's your guy. Nobody else has that guy. He's yours.
He's magical, and he's yours. And he's yours, and you get to say that for the rest of your life. That's very cool if you're a fan of that. It's awesome. Kerry, thank you for the $4.99. Let's see what else we got real quick. First one that came in was from James, $1.99. Lance Jackson got his 5th star with On 3. Hook 'em emoji.
Hey, man, when you're right, you're right. I'll pat myself on the back and say I have been pumping the Lance Jackson as a 5-star. Choo-choo! Chugga. It's building up steam. I always said the national networks would follow in my footsteps. On 3 is the first. I don't think they'll be the last.
S-Roan 45 with a $5. Quite an upgrade from Case Hurd Swoops Ash. S-Roan, enjoy it. Enjoy what you are witnessing. Catch one other quick one, not a super chat, but somebody threw this name out as a possible Magic guy. Did Bijan rise to that level?
No.
I don't think so either. It got close. It wasn't quite, man. It wasn't that kind of pop.
Dude, Ricky Williams. So Vince was Vince, right?
Yeah.
But Ricky is probably the last time it really, I think, feels like this. Where people loved Vince, but the Ricky thing was really special.
Yeah, they would murmur when he didn't get the ball.
I mean, it lasted the whole game.
It's incredible.
Every time he touched the ball, the crowd would gasp. And
exactly,
and in the end, there's never been a player where like the Ricky chants, chanting Earl and VY or Vince isn't the same as the 2-syllable Ricky. I mean, it was just,
Catch, you remember the 98 Texas OU game with the 97-yard McGarity touchdown pass?
Oh, yeah.
That play started with a play fake to Ricky, and I guarantee you the fans in the Texas end started that play with, oh. Because that's what they did. The whole stadium went, oh, every time he didn't get the ball.
He was a phenomenon. He really was. And we've seen great running backs come through Texas, but nothing has ever been quite like that. I had somebody, a buddy of mine, who was at the game on Saturday, standing on the sidelines. And he says, when Arch comes into the game, the crowd goes from roaring to roaring. And he wrote roaring in all caps.
Yeah.
And he was like, they don't even know how loud they can be until that happens. And then everybody realized, holy crap, it's a lot louder than it has been.
That's what's fun. Like over the years, getting to watch and listen to Texas fans and what gets them going, right? Texas fans are not that pre-trained. We're just going to go crazy to go crazy. That's not usually what they do. Normally it takes something, right, to get them to react. But boy, when they do, it's legit. It's such an authentic reaction. So when the Aggies come to town, it changes. That game always changed DKR a little bit, and it'll change it next year. But these kind of players do it too, and it's just cool to hear. Like, it is cool to hear a fan base that's that big time and blue blood and knowledgeable to just flip out like that over a backup quarterback.
Well, and look, this goes back further. Like, two things I want to mention. One, it helps that he was totally badass on Saturday.
Yeah.
That wasn't like 7 of 19 where he had one play. He was.
Yeah. First play touchdown. Yeah. First play touchdown. Third play, his rushing touchdown. I mean, it was stupid right away.
They're still putting up stats, and he ran faster on the touchdown than Tyreek Hill did at any point last season. Just like whatever. The other thing is this goes back. Think about there was a cottage industry when he visited as a prospect to get photos of him. It was like, look, Arch in a golf cart. And that thing would get retweeted like 100,000 times and people were losing. So this is just a continuation of a love affair that began way back before he even became a student, that this kind of reaction is really unique. And you mentioned Vince. Vince had a little bit of that when he came in as a prospect and they were cheering his name by the band. And, that doesn't always happen. Texas fans always know what recruits are in the building. For 5 stars visiting, they know, oh, Jamie French, he's at a basketball game. Like, look, there he is. But it's one thing to oogle at the guy, and it's another thing to sing his name and worship him. And there really are only a handful of guys that receive that.
And the beauty of it, Catch, is in terms of the way the stadium will feel, Arch is like Ricky if they handed him the ball every single time, because unless you're running a trick play, you're going to snap the ball to Arch when he's in the game. So there's that extra energy of every play. Whereas with the Ricky stuff, you had a chance for that energy to go away if they threw the ball or handed it to somebody else.
You could have Cam Williams pick the ball up off the ground and run the fumble route. Imagine a play where Arch jumps up in the air and fakes, like a bad snap, but then crumbles to the ground like he's injured.
Oh my God.
Even the defensive players would just be like, is Arch okay?
Yeah, don't do that, Sark. Don't do. Yeah.
Cam could pick the ball up and rumble 85 yards and nobody would know.
He could do it backwards, Catch. Cam Williams could pick the ball up and go backwards 80 yards, and everyone would stare at Arch Manning.
He and Jake Majors could just hot potato the ball back and forth all the way down the field.
Oh, my God. All right, we will get to the title and subject of this thing because Catch has some intel on kind of how things laid out. Before we do that, let's give some love here. First off to the Texas Card House, our presenting sponsor, 6 locations in Texas. If you haven't visited Texas Card House, please do that. They got all kinds of upgraded stuff, including an executive chef. Speaking of executive chefs, you know where else they have some really good food? Oh, yeah, out at Hays City Store. Go celebrate what you're seeing with your Texas Longhorns or whatever else is going good in your life. Or maybe if there's something, maybe not going as well and you want to go and drown some sorrows, they can do it either way. Hays City Store, an incredible menu, the food, the beverage. Start off with that home run dip. You will not be disappointed, and end with some of the best desserts I've ever had. I'm not a dessert freak, but that's the best key lime pie I've ever had. I'm not a total dessert freak, but there is something about that Barry's heaven. I order it every time. Get on out there. Check out Hays City Store. Tell Travis and Tamara, big Longhorn fans, they're loving this season so far. Tell them we said hey here at Orange Bloods Live. Hays City Store. All right, Catch, let's get to the story on the board. Fans watched it happen. Quinn Ewers goes into the game. There's the thing with the hand. There's the thing with the abdominal strain kind of injury. You've got a little
strain.
What was that? What now?
Tummy strain.
I don't know if tummy strain is the technical.
It's a stomach strain.
Yeah, you got to say abdominal. It sounds.
No, you don't. You can say stomach.
A stomach strain.
And then if you can say stomach, you can say tummy.
Stomach strain just sounds like what I get if I eat too much cotton candy. But whatever you call it, take us through the chronology of what you're hearing today about kind of, what went down with number 3.
I think it's interesting that when Sarkisian was specifically asked about the play, I can't say that he was completely, he points to the throw to Gunnar Helm as like the moment of the injury. But I've been told by a couple of different people in various sides of sourcing that Quinn came into the game on Saturday with an issue. What I can't say is that the severity was as bad as it was on Saturday night, but what happened on Saturday night with the abdominal strain is something that carried over from earlier in the week, is what I was told. And that Saturday was that he was trying to play through it, and that Saturday it got to a point where clearly he couldn't. But it wasn't the first time that issue, this stomach strain, the abdominal injury. I'm told from a couple of sources that I trust on this, that there was a precondition going into Saturday. I've thought about it in my head. I think it's very likely that maybe it wasn't as severe, that something happened earlier in the week. They knew to keep an eye on it. Quinn wanted to play through it. Something happens on Saturday that kind of flares that up, and now he's out of the game. I don't know that Monday morning quarterback in that. If it had been as bad as it was on Saturday, you figure he wouldn't play. So just using some deductive reasoning, whatever happened earlier in the week wasn't as severe as it became on Saturday, but something did exist prior to that. And if you know that, it does make everything that happens later in the game, including the play on the Gunnar Helm catch, where you just watch the way his body reacts. It's not a big hit. He kind of gets turned awkwardly. It seems to be kind of a reaction you wouldn't expect that anything would have really come out of it. If you know that something happened earlier in the week and that this was an aggravation of that, it does make more sense.
Yeah, somebody asked, it's interesting, a quick chat. No, the answer is no here, Chad. Says, did anyone ask Sark about Quinn's hand? Was there something going on there? Nobody asked about the hand.
I haven't had anybody tell me that's an issue at all.
And then catch the fact that, again, Sark talked about the Helm pass, but he didn't talk about the play before that, where if you watch carefully, just on that handoff, he got spun around by a defensive player in a situation where his body's not expecting contact there. He had just handed the ball off, and he gets spun around a little bit. And you and I talked about that in the post game on Saturday night. That's probably looks like where something could have gotten strained and aggravated. And then, by the way, the Gunnar Helm throw really shows off Quinn's talent to have the hand issue and the abdominal issue, and he nails that throw. Like, that throw was perfect for what it needed to be. Nice job by Helm, by the way, showing off just more athleticism every time he's out there. But yeah, it was kind of a weird sequence. So from what you're hearing, it was maybe something during the week. He thought he could play through it. They thought it was something that, you're not going to make it any worse. Play through it, see what you can do. And it just got tweaked a little bit during the game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like whatever happened earlier in the week required a trip to the doctor or a specialist, which is what would have happened yesterday. But it does sound like something happened. And by the time we get to Saturday, Quinn, because here's the thing that I can't stress enough, and I think it's one of the things Texas is going to have to be careful with this because of this reason. Quinn wants to play. Quinn wanted to play on Saturday. I mean, he comes off only after falling to the ground and kind of he gave out. But the want to was there. And I think the want to on Saturday was, I can deal with this. I can deal with this. I'm going to play. These are games I want to play in. Mm-hmm. The stressing that Quinn wants to play is one thing I heard constantly yesterday, that there's no part of him that wants to look at the next couple of weeks off and go, oh, vacay, cool. Like, he wants to play. He wants to put up numbers. He wants to lead the number one team in the country. He wants to win the Heisman.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do going into the OU Georgia sequence is feel rusty, feel sluggish, feel like your timing needs to you need to be laser focused, razor blade sharp going into those two games.
Except he played in the Oklahoma game coming off of an injury 2 years ago, and they won 49-0. So if I'm Sark and I'm like, my lived experience is that I can do this with him. And like, if there's anybody that can make it work, 49-0 made it work. And
it did work that day. That was working. Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Nobody left that game and thought, man, if he'd only played the week before.
Go out the record books.
So I think this could be one of these situations where how Quinn feels will dictate everything. I think Quinn is going to want to play. I think Quinn will probably even want to play more if Arch goes out there this week and they dump truck La Monroe and he's on the cover. He was talked about on the Today Show today. The Today Show opens up talking about Arch Manning on a Monday.
Because he's magic. That's it.
Because there's crossover to moms and grandmothers. And, it just is what it is. So I think one of the things they'll have to do, I think next week, Sark lists him day-to-day, officially questionable. I think there is, at least there was yesterday, a sign of acknowledgement that he needs this week off. But I think Quinn will want to return against Mississippi State. I know that we've had competitors report that there's an expectation that he will come back against Mississippi State. I will simply say this. From what I know from talking to a very dialed-in source, they don't know. He doesn't know how he's going to feel tomorrow or the next day. This is an injury that requires a little bit of rest and then some real care as he comes back. Quinn will want to come back next week. He will want to play against Mississippi State. I think there's a good chance that he's going to try. But the thing that they've got to be careful about is if you bring him back against Mississippi State and he aggravates it, because he probably should take another week off. Mm-hmm. What does that mean then for the prizes? There has to be an acknowledgement. Look, he's ready for Oklahoma and Georgia, and nothing else matters. They can win these next two games with Arch Manning easily. These are bad football teams that they're playing, outmatched football teams. Mississippi State got boat raced at home by Toledo this past weekend. They are the worst team in the SEC. If you're Sark, to me, you have to err on the side of we get a bye week after Mississippi State. So by letting him rest a little bit more that week, I'm giving him 2 weeks. And then he can come back the week of the Oklahoma game and hopefully get an entire week of practice in, no issues. And now we're cooking with grease because those two games, OU and Georgia, is the biggest stretch of football in the entire season. So I'm fascinated by when we get to next week. I fully expect next Monday, Sark, to say that Quinn is day-to-day. I expect him to say that he's questionable.
And there's an injury report.
I expect him to say that he feels better today than he did a week ago and is able to do more. Like, I expect a picture to be painted that it's very possible that he'll play against Mississippi State. I wonder, though, how safe behind the scenes there's Sark, what he will say to the public, and what he'll know that what Quinn and his camp want to hear. But I wonder if deep down Sark's thinking to himself, no way that kid's coming back before Oklahoma.
Well,
we're going to make sure he's ready to go.
Especially, Catch, when you've got one of the little ingredients in the first year of the SEC sort of tradition of the off week before a big rival. The fact that you have that off week is massive. And you're absolutely correct what you said about Mississippi State, but the physicality is going to ratchet up for that game. So, like, everybody remember that game where Tua Tagovailoa got folded in half and they carried him off on that cart and his face had turned purple? That was against Mississippi State. Let's not act like the Bulldogs don't have physical line play. Like, that'll dial up. So do you really want to put Quinn Ewers through whatever that is, right? And they're not going to be as good as that team, but I'm just saying, knowing that you're stepping into SEC play and then you have that bye week.
Do you know what Toledo fans that tuned in moments ago, Chad, the Toledo Nation, you know what they're saying right now about Mississippi State?
What's that?
Shit.
Yeah. Well, they get to do that with the benefit of having played the game. I'm just going off the humility is just a week away.
Okay. You know what?
In the SEC.
Georgia, the thing is, Kirby allowed himself to have like that harebrained comment, and it's a great one. Humility is just a week away. Georgia, you needed to go to Kentucky and be better than you were on Saturday night.
And that's probably true too. Yeah, that's probably true as well. And I think ultimately the voters did what they thought they should do. And by the way,
that happened, Chad.
Yeah. By the way, we're 40 minutes in. We haven't really talked about Texas being the number one team in the nation. That's to tell you how the circus is rolling this week. Congrats to the Longhorns getting to the number one spot. They do take that over from Georgia. All right. We do have a couple super chats lined up. Catch, before we do that, why don't you tell the folks about Rog Shop and how it may or may not have enhanced your weekend?
Well, it's enhancing my morning, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I got a nice little buzz going right now. You guys can't even tell, I'm sure. I love Rog Shop. I didn't need to take a gummy last night. I went to bed pretty early, but it's nice to know it's there. It's nice to know on a night where you're like, oh man, I need sleep bad. I need sleep bad. Please don't let this be a night where I wake up in the middle of the night and then you take a gummy and you know what? You sleep. You get a great night of sleep. You wake up, you're ready for the day. Sometimes it could be an issue with pain. So you buy the salve and you rub that on your shoulders and it feels better. I have an 85-year-old uncle. That's his jam. Give him the salve. Let him be in a little bit less pain on a day-to-day basis. Everybody's got different needs. Everybody's got different wants. Go to rogshop.com. Look around. Check out the website. They've got specials. They've got a chat where you can talk with Shar, one of the owners of the company. What do you need? What can we do to help you with? That's all they're trying to do. Make your life a little bit better. Make your life a little bit better with some Rog Shop later today. Scan that QR code or go to the website. Make it happen.
Thanks to Rog Shop and all the great partners here on Orange Bloods Live. And thank y'all for jumping in that Specs chat. Over 1,000 of you in there right now. And there are super chats coming in. Let's go to Paul, $9.99. Happy Monday. 1, Chad, if you were Elko, would you go with Reed because he fits Klein's system better? Yes. 2, prime on prime, Elizabeth Montgomery of Bewitched over Barbara Eden Jeannie. That's a sell for me. If you're doing it as a buy or sell. I'm going Jeannie.
You're going Jeannie over Elizabeth Montgomery?
Absolutely. It's a decent battle, but it's an easy decision for me.
I'm going to go with you, Chad, only because I feel like I've lusted, even as a child, at Barbara Eden in the Jeannie outfit more than I did Elizabeth Montgomery.
And I think that's it. I think the outfit helps it along. There's a sexiness to the outfit, whereas Elizabeth Montgomery gives you that hot mom vibe, but it's a different kind of hotness than what the Jeannie was giving.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I'd feel that way if I got to see Elizabeth Montgomery in the Jeannie outfit all the time.
Well, right, but yeah, we can't live in that world. We have to play the game that's in front of us. Catch. It's like ULM.
No, in the game, I can imagine Elizabeth Montgomery half naked. It's a prime on prime.
It is a prime on prime. That's true. But if they're putting the show in the parentheses, I think we have to consider that.
You're ready to Shay Morin's Connor Weigman?
I don't know if that's exactly the way I would phrase it, but the issue was about the system. It's about Colin Klein. If what we saw Saturday speaks to comfortability with the system, then I think Reed is the way to go. Now, there's other things to consider. The guy that is on your defensive coordinator was on the Florida staff. How much did you really know Florida? Was that a factor? How much is Florida not being great is a factor? But catch, they ran for 310 yards. They found 5.6 a carry. Somehow they got Moss to, what was his number? I don't have it in front of me.
Where is the loyalty for Connor?
He hasn't earned it. There's no loyalty earned. He hasn't earned it. You're talking about a different coaching staff. You're talking about everything is changing over because of injuries. He hasn't had enough consistency. And that performance against Notre Dame was bizarre.
Hold the rope, Ags, unless the rope is tied to Connor Weigman.
I mean, however you want to phrase it, whatever you want. Do you disagree?
I don't know what I think, honestly. If I'm being complete, I understand Reed. He reminded me very much of Gerard Hurd the first time we saw Gerard Hurd.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, he's definitely better than what we've been getting. But what I didn't know was, okay, well, what happens when schools get some film on Reed? Like, what does it mean when they adjust? Yeah. Like, there are steps down the highway with Reed that we don't know about. So I'm always a little cautious. You can even say the same thing about Arch, right? Like eventually there will be a book on Arch, but right now there's not much of a book. And so teams don't even know what to do when Arch comes in. There's not an Arch game plan yet.
It's a very different situation than what Texas is dealing with.
Here's the thing. I'm not an Aggie. I'm just a guy who looks at Connor Weigman and sees the talent. And this was a guy that just a couple of months ago, people were dark horse discussing as a top of the 2025 NFL draft possibility. I see a guy that has, and I do this with Hudson Card too. Hudson had a horrible weekend. And yet I still see the talent. I still see in a world where if it ever does come together, you could really have something. And I don't know that I feel that way about Reed.
So they listed Weigman as an AC joint injury. It's a shoulder injury that he's got. So an AC joint. If he's good to go against Bowling Green, would you play him this week? Or to a discussion, it's a little bit similar to the Texas thing. Do you hold him knowing that Arkansas is coming? You let Reed have the Bowling Green game, and then you tell Connor Weigman, if you're ready to roll, this is your team. This is your team. When we
if you can do that, that's what you do.
Okay. Because we were told in Dallas at SEC Media Days by Aggie people that this is Weigman's team.
No doubt. That's why I'm just.
If that's true, because again, the way that chat laid it out was if it fits the system. I've been talking about that since the spring game. If you have a guy that fits Colin Klein's ideas better, his eye better, you might want to consider that. Why? Because you're not running the ball that well. They need as many active, good running backs as they can get, and they found one on Saturday, and it was Reed. He had like 6 point something at carry.
No, I watched the game. He's good. He's a good player.
Yeah,
is he your long-term starter forever? I don't know.
No, I don't know that either. But when I read Paul's chat, I interpreted it as, who do you play against Bowling Green? I'd play Reed.
The problem with Bowling Green is it's a little bit like letting Arch play the next two games against La Monroe and Mississippi State. I'm telling you, I want everybody to be prepared for this when it happens. When we get to the OU game, presuming that Arch has started in the last two, and maybe you can make that assumption, maybe you can't. Maybe because, like I said, I know Quinn wants to get back on the field. But there's a good chance that Arch is going to be the number one efficiency rated quarterback in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And he may sit the bench. And the thing is, you could almost say that any quarterback, that Quinn might have emerged from those two games as the number one rated quarterback in the country. These are like stat games that Texas is getting ready to play. Number one Texas against these teams. And Arch is going to reap the rewards from that. And so, you know what we're going to start seeing? We're going to get into the Oklahoma game and the Georgia game and beyond. And anytime Arch has any kind of a mid-level game, right? 2 touchdown passes and an interception. We're going to see the side-by-side Quinn and Arch stats.
Yep. No doubt.
It's going to happen.
They're going to find Quinn on the sidelines no matter what Arch does. This week, if Arch plays, if Quinn's on the sideline, every good thing and every bad thing, they're going to go to Quinn. They're going to have a camera on Quinn all day, just like they did Saturday. The reason Texas fans started talking about his body language, facial expression, because they showed it all the time. They showed it every play that they could. They showed that stat line as much as they could. They're going to keep doing it. They are going to keep doing that. And we hope you're going to keep giving us super chats. Thank you, Matt, for $9.99. I think the difference between Quinn and Arch, aside from the name, is we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly from Quinn, whereas we have only seen the good from Arch. He has that new car smell. That's probably fair. I can't think of much bad. Sark talked about a couple issues here and there, Catch, but we certainly haven't seen Arch Manning look like a bad quarterback.
No, and I don't anticipate now that we will probably. I mean, I don't know.
This is a perfect week for it, by the way. Perfect week. Like the old, they used to be the Dixie Chicks. Now they're the Chicks. Wide open spaces. Room to make a big mistake. That's this Saturday night. Oh, my God. Arch, if you've got a couple nervous pick sixes in you this week, do it this week. Do it right now. Get it out of your system. This would be the week, Catch, to get some nervousness out and have those moments.
Yeah, sure.
Because you can overcome that this week.
I think very quietly, one of the best things that will happen to the Texas football program is that 2025 will be better off because Arch will get in this time. However, whatever ends up happening the rest of the season happens. But we can say with some certainty that when Quinn makes his first start in the 2025 season, it's not his first start. And that alone takes away a storyline. Now, he still got to make his first road start. He would still need to make his first Texas OU game. I'm assuming, right? But on paper, it would seem like, okay, it's funny, in my head all offseason long, I've always in my mind thought Quinn will get banged up and Arch will end up starting one of these games. And it's exactly what happened. It's uncanny. And, for Arch's sake, or for everybody's sake, quite frankly, but I meant to say Quinn, here's hoping when he comes back, that's it. No more injuries.
Oh, yeah. Which we've seen before, right? We've seen him do exactly that before. And in fact, Catch, if you had Sark, if you had said to him before the season began, Sark, Quinn has to miss 2 games. You pick. We're only 1 game off, I think, what he would have picked.
Yeah.
Right? He would have just picked UTSA and ULM.
Correct.
We're like a quarter or 2 just off of what he would have
told.
And
the second option has a bye week behind it. So even if it's not number 1, it has some layers that might make it worthy of a number 1.
Yeah. It's a good call. Good call. Thank you, Matt, for that super chat. There's some other chats that came in.
Quick, Chad, before we go to the next one, just because I was going to follow that question up with, the other thing is Arch and Quinn are completely different from a strength standpoint. Quinn's at his best throwing short and intermediate, and he works the middle real well. But, they do some pinpoint passing with Quinn, especially when they're in the red zone. We've seen them go to it now a couple of times where it's like not everybody in college football is making that throw, but because Quinn can do it, let's stress that. I don't think Arch is as pinpoint accurate as Quinn on some of these shorter throws that kind of are the base of the Texas offense, but it throws the ball down the field a hell of a lot better than Quinn. He just does. And if I had one, when Quinn was healthy, because everything that happens, you don't talk about this. Really, for one of the few times this season, they said, let's go deep early in that UTSA game. And it was a reminder of like, man, Quinn does my head in sometimes with the deep ball. He just kind of flicked it up in the air and it hung up there. And then he threw it and there was like a double team. And ultimately nobody really came close to catching the ball, but it was a very quick reminder. It was like, oh, that's not what he does best. And then you see Arch come in the game, and he just has a rhythm on these deep throws that Quinn just doesn't have yet. It's a strange one because we know Sarkisian likes to go vertical. We know he likes to throw it deep. It's not what Quinn does best. It took a little while on Saturday, I think, for Sark to get into the rhythm of, I need to call plays for Arch instead of plays that are mostly the offense that we've been running. And I'm guessing we'll see more of that on Saturday. A game plan way more. I mean, they didn't have a game plan on Saturday designed for Arch. They had a game plan designed for Quinn. I bet on Saturday we see a little bit more. And look, Arch. Boy, I got to get my head. There's too many names. Arch is constantly looking to go down the field. He will bypass an open receiver and take a split half second or a full second longer to make sure, is there anything else further down the field that I can go to? If there is, he'll go there. If not, he'll check down to the shorter route. But his instincts tell him, go deeper, young man. Whereas I don't think that's who Quinn is. I think Quinn's he's open, go. And I think it is a slightly different approach to offense that Sark will have to bake in this week.
If you want to send us a super chat, it'll go right to the front. There's some good chats that have rolled in. Devin says it would be cool if the crowd made as much noise when Quinn comes back as they do for Arch. Show QB1 some love. We talked about that earlier, Devin. Catch, what if it's this Saturday night? The Texas crowd's really going to have to get themselves ready for that moment. What if the next quarterback that they actually get to cheer for is Quinn? What if he's back at 7 o'clock, ready to go against ULM? Will they give him a little bit of a instead of really getting up?
Well, look, if you're asking me, is it going to be stone cold? No.
No. Again, it's never going to be that. I'm not saying Arch pop. That's separate. Are they going to give him an appropriate pop to say, you're our guy? You're the guy that whipped OU 49-0. You're the guy that won.
Are they going to give him a Rikishi prop?
You're the guy. That's insulting. You're insulting. Brett the Hitman Hart. You're the guy that busted Michigan up in their house. The crowd used
to go nuts for Rikishi.
And they did not. Not even close. That's not the discussion. That's more of a novelty, not what we're talking about here. Quinn Ewers is not a novelty. Quinn Ewers is the guy that got them
with the size of the pop. That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah. That was
we'll
not
get a Kerry Von Erich pop.
Okay, Kerry Von Erich pop is a different. Now you're in the right discussion.
Will it be a Kerry Von Erich pop? I don't know.
It needs to be. But I just wonder, it'll be that eventually. I'm wondering if it will be that if it happened immediately. Because Texas fans are getting like, oh my God, we weren't going to go to the ULM game. I was going to sell my tickets, but we got to go. It's Arch starting. Are you serious?
Anwar made a very good point. Sark went out of his way to mention that next week, when there's an actual required injury report, Quinn would be listed as questionable. I think that was a giveaway for this week. Sark is going to all the way till game time, I'm guessing, make it sound like it's a game time suggestion. Look, man, they know with this injury, they don't want to make it worse. They do. So I think they know they have to be smart with this. The worst thing you'd want to do is get him in there, have him play another quarter and a half, and then this becomes an issue again. And now you're putting Oklahoma maybe in a little bit of jeopardy. They just need to let Arch go out there and do the damn thing. And they need to get Quinn right. And they need Quinn. They need to stress to Quinn how important it is. We need you to be honest with us. We don't need you to be Superman. We don't need you to try to prove to us how tough you are. We may get to a point where we ask that of you, but it's not now. It's not the week of the Mississippi State game. You need to tell us, how uncomfortable are you really? And I think that those are questions that you can't have answers to right now. It's still too fresh. It literally less than 48 hours ago, he's walking into the tunnel clearly in discomfort after falling to the ground. At some point, as optimistic as we want to be, as much as we want to see him come back early, because right now he's the more experienced, better quarterback, they're going to need him to do the non-football player thing. It's most football players' instincts to say whatever you got to say to get back onto the field. And I would just say that's not what this team needs from Quinn. They need him healthy. And if it means playing one fewer game than he'll want to, part of the conversations I think this week need to be with Quinn. Hey, just be square with us, because we want to give you the right amount of treatment. We want to make sure that we don't want this to be a season-long nagging, it keeps popping back up kind of a thing. And they're going to have to tell him, Quinn, don't you tough guy this weekend. You honest guy this. You let us know when we say on a scale of 1 to 10 how much discomfort you're feeling. If it's a 6 or a 5, don't say it's a 1, because you think that's the thing that's going to get you on the field the furthest. This is one of these injuries that Quinn's going to determine a lot of what the timeline ends up being. And, fingers crossed that this is just a minimal deal, that he's back in a couple of weeks, that he's certainly back for Oklahoma and Georgia, because that's when this team is really going to need him. And look, he can miss the next 2 weeks and still win the Heisman, because right about the time when people are like, I don't know if Quinn Ewers' stats are good enough. Oklahoma game, the whole nation is watching. Georgia game, the whole nation is watching. If he's the best player on the field in the Texas-Georgia game, these 2 games that he might miss will not matter. So in a weird way, it could allow him to get to October not being the Heisman favorite, which is always the worst thing to be if you want to win the Heisman. It's almost impossible to win it in October in the first week, but you can start to do things in October that might make you the eventual winner. So see, I'm trying to turn that frown upside down.
Very nice. Well done. Over 1,200 folks in the Specs chat. We do have super chats. Now let's do a real quick clarification. Texas TV chatted, my super chat was missed for $4.99. LOL. Can I get a mulligan? Texas TV, this is not a super chat. It's just not. I'll ask Catch the question, but just so you understand, that's not a super chat, because it didn't come off on our side of the super chat. So I appreciate the fact that you found the little shift thing and you did the shift 4 to make the dollar sign. That's not a super chat. But catching your lifetime covering the Longhorns, where do you rate Arch's performance Saturday? And will it hold a special place in your heart?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about a special place in my heart. Like if I turn my camera sideways, I don't have a wall of Arch where I've got newspaper clippings, and it's not like that. I'm not obsessed, but I'll remember that forever. That was unique, man. That was unique. Starting quarterback goes out, that guy goes in, and then he has that performance. It was ridiculous Saturday. It's still ridiculous on Monday. All of the elements, the fade into the back of the end zone doesn't get discussed enough. That was ridiculous. And as soon as it left his hand, I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even need to see the play be completed. I was holy crapping it at the beginning of the throw. And then as you watch the trajectory of the ball, that was a come out of your seats kind of a play, and stand up and applaud. And there were like 3 or 4 of those plays. So, it just, where do I rate that performance on Saturday? I've never seen anything quite like that. I can remember Vince against K-State in 2003, where he throws the deep balls like a 52-yard play when he comes into the game. And I can remember that kind of buzz. This was on a different level than that. I can't think of anything, honestly.
Texas TV, we appreciate the effort on that. We do have some super chats that came in. We'll clean those off, and then we will buy or sell coming up. $5 super chat from Football Edits. Truth Serum, Helm will probably have a better 24 than JT ever had. Love me some JT, but Helm looking really good. Mr. Reliable so far. Hook 'em emoji. Catch Gunnar Helm just keeps looking better and better.
I would also say, man, Sanders got hurt last year. He was really off to what looked like was going to be a record-breaking. We were matching his numbers up with Bowers, and he really got off to a pretty good start last year. Got hurt. I don't think it was ever quite the same. Now he goes through the draft process. We know he's a little bit more of a flawed overall player. Gunnar Helm's fantastic. I just say, keep in mind that Sanders was playing with a bad will for half the season when we start talking about he could have a better 2024 than JT ever had. Man, let's hope, that Gunnar Helm doesn't get an ankle where it's like, okay, things are even now. Like, let that man just be healthy. But let's not bring Jatavian Sanders down if Helm has a better season. Like, there's no reason to talk JT down. He is probably the best tight end from a statistical standpoint in school history. I wouldn't rank him above David Thomas because of what David Thomas did in big games and what he did on better teams than Jatavian Sanders played on. But I mean, we're in rarefied. If the conversation is, well, is it David Thomas or this guy? This guy's pretty good if you're even asking that question.
Football Edits, thank you for that. Also, thanks to Oscar for a $4.99 super chat. Chad, don't tell me what Mississippi State was years ago with a fragile Tua. The SEC is physical, but Mississippi State doesn't even make a possum want to play dead. Oscar, you may be right. It could be the fact that as an Aggie fan, I'm a little sensitive when it comes to the Mississippi schools because the Aggies haven't done so well. Where's that Mississippi? Oh, God, there's that Mississippi State helmet. That's probably what it is. So fair point. I should not speak about Mississippi State.
That's fair, though. Like, going back to the snow game, Mississippi State's been a problem.
Yeah, you didn't need to say snow game, but yes. It's I wish it was just the snow game, Catch. I wish it was.
You could take the reference to the snow game.
Yeah.
Like a little bit easier. Oh, that was like 25 years ago. Who cares?
Yeah, snow game all the way up to your field goal crap and during a watch along. Yeah, I mean, it's all Mississippi State. I don't want to talk about that team at all. That's never going to be a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. All right, we are going to buy or sell after you hear from the good folks at AV Consultations. Look at all this pretty stuff.
With audiovisual consultations, scientific data proves it. Size does matter. The bigger and wider your television is, the better. Football season is here, and the time is now to get your entire audio-video experience tuned up and ready. New flat screens, projection video, Dolby True HD surround, all the goodies at great prices and followed up with great service. So call us at 255-8678. That's 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
By the way, Catch, there's a new AV consultation spot in the works, and I think you will be pleased when you hear it. Okay. And I'm also glad that I could bring to mind one of your proudest moments before we went into that spot. All right, are you ready to buy or sell on a Monday?
I am. I'm prepared. I have them all written down and everything. In fact, okay. I have a triple threat hotter than involving actresses from the 80s and 90s.
That is exciting. You want to go first or second? That sounds like something we need to finish with. Let me go first.
Okay.
Let me go first because I do not have a hotter than today, but I do have some football for you. Buy or sell number one. If Arch starts against ULM, 3+ touchdown passes, a rushing touchdown, and no picks.
So I'll say there's an interception this weekend.
Okay.
And maybe not a rushing touchdown.
And maybe not maybe not, right? Maybe he just starts with it but holds off on the rushing touchdown.
Maybe he throws for 7 and doesn't.
Yeah, right. Buy or sell number 2, Jonte Cook, 2+ touchdowns with Arch at quarterback.
Sell. Only because that's a lot. Like 2's a lot. He had 2 last week. The math says it's harder to get like 2 back-to-back weeks. True. But I will say I think Jonte Cook's stock goes up as long as Arch is on the field. It seems like those two guys have a connection.
Yeah.
I think Arch and Cook may have like the connection that Quinn and Golden have.
Yeah.
And consequently, maybe Golden doesn't have the Arch connection that Cook has in the same way that Cook doesn't seem to have the Golden connection with Quinn.
Still, that Quinn slant to Cook was nasty good. That was a great play. All right, Catch, sticking with Texas, buy or sell number 3. You can tell me the last time Texas hosted a game as the number 1 team in the country with a 3-0 record or better and the opponent.
I mean, it was in 2008 after Oklahoma, right?
That is true. They were 7-0 as they went into the game, if that helps you at all.
Well, I'm trying to remember the order of the games as that was the beginning of like, holy cow, there was a stretch in 2008.
They played some good teams that year, man. They really did.
Oklahoma State?
Very good. Well done. Well done. That is a bye, kids. He can name the opponent. 08 against Oklahoma State. That is true. Just for the sake of the house divided, Catch, do you know when the last time it was for the Aggies?
No.
3-0 or better, number 1 team in the country. Hosting
1939. Hosting Stephen F. Austin.
For the sake of all the jokes that would be created, I wish the answer was 1939. And it's almost 1939, but it's 1957. In 57, the Aggies hosted SMU as the number 1 team in the country.
If you told me the year, I would have said TC. I would have said one of the U's, as the TCU or the SMUs. I would have gone with one of those two.
Right. But before that, Catch, it was, get this date, November 30th of 1939 when they hosted Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That's how crazy it is on that side of it. Enjoy it, Longhorn fans. You are the number 1 team in the country this week. All right, Catch. Buy or sell number 4. 2 belts were on the line at UFC 306 in the Sphere. And you can tell me what happened to both.
Well, so I know that the wrestling guy whose name I cannot pronounce, he won the main event by dragging around the champion to the mat like 5,000 times over the course of the match.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like I missed anything with that. And then a couple of women fought on Saturday as well, right?
That is true.
I don't know.
Ultimately, both belts changed hands. Both belts moved. Shevchenko got the other belt, took it back.
There was a badass fight, though, on the card, right?
They were both pretty good fights. I mean, you got to like a certain style. The problem was it was a lot of ground and pound.
I was told there was a fight, though, somewhere along the card. I don't know how far up on the prelims. That was one of the fights of the year.
I only watched the last 2 fights, so I'll take their word for it. Yeah, I was too much football. I can't watch the whole card. Like, I ducked in for those last 2 fights. I couldn't get the whole thing in. All right, Catch. Speaking of time and do you have time, buy or sell number 5, Colin Farrell, the Penguin, episode 1, Thursday night. It's football season. You're probably not watching.
Sell. I'll watch.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know like the order, but I've heard good things. I'm in. Yeah.
Did you know it was him when you first saw the preview?
Yes, because I had read about it.
It is one of the great makeup jobs of all time.
It doesn't feel like you're getting Colin Farrell.
Every time I see the preview and I see his name, I think it's a mistake. That's how good the makeup is. It's amazing.
I only knew, like I said, I'd read that it was coming.
Yeah.
So I knew that before I ever saw a preview.
Yeah, I'm interested to check it out. All right, that's my buy or sell, Catch. What do you got?
Buy or sell number 1. If Prize Pick sets Arch's touchdown passes for Saturday night at 2.5, you're definitely taking the more.
You said 2.5?
Yes.
It's interesting. I'm seeing something about Silas Bolden on my end. We're having one of those moments again. Yeah. I will. Yeah, I think so. I kind of feel like I want to play a Prize Picks this week with Arch Manning. I really hope we find out for sure if he's playing. before the game starts, because that would be very, very cool.
What about now?
I will buy. It says this is the week Silas Bolden gets into the end zone. So bizarre.
All right, I'm going to try to put up question number 2.
Okay, I'm going to buy that first one. I'm going to buy it.
Okay, buy or sell number 2. Fingers crossed.
Here we go.
Quinn Ewers will come back for the Oklahoma game, not the Mississippi State game.
Damn, yeah, it's something. It says Quinn, but it's something different. Quinn will come back. Say it again for.
Damn it!
He'll
Quinn
come back.
Will come back for OU and not Mississippi State.
Right now, I'm going to say bye because of that off week. I think Sark takes advantage of it. I think Sark also knows, just because you don't want to put him out there. And even if everybody's right, and I'm the one that gets clowned for it, that's fine. But you don't want to put him out there in an SEC game like that. And some rusher comes off the edge from Mississippi State and crushes him. And then you're like, oh, there you go. You ruined his opportunity to play for OU. So, yeah, I'm going to buy. It's not till OU.
I am not going to put the question up on the screen because apparently
it sucks. I don't know why it does
when
that.
We're done, when I'm done, though, I want you to scroll up and just confirm for me that my questions were in the system and that the system is doing something wacky.
Okay, we'll do that.
Buy or sell number 3. No part of the Saints destroying the Cowboys surprised you yesterday because you are dead inside and no expectations that life as a Cowboys fan can be better exist.
I guess I'll do like a small S sell because I wouldn't consider myself dead inside, but numb to what was happening is a good way to describe it. There wasn't yelling, there wasn't overcussing, and I was alone in the house, by the way. I could have yelled anything in the world, but no, it was, no. Didn't you and I talked about the danger of it. I was giving New Orleans even more respect than you were because I thought that 47 did matter against Carolina, and I was worried about the Cowboys' defense and could they stop them. Dak could have thrown 6 touchdowns in that game, and they still lose the damn thing. So it was tough, but yeah, I'll give a slight sell because I don't consider myself dead inside, but I was prepared for what was going to happen.
Can you imagine if they had just waited one more week and announced the Dak extension an hour before that game?
Oh my God. Unbelievable. Unreal. Those Saints, man, they came within 3 points of scoring 47 in 3 straight games. The Patriots, the almost perfect Patriots, are the last team to do that. Dude, the Saints are rolling.
Man, they let Derek Carr come in and hit him with the Michael Jackson hee-hee celebration.
That was the last catch. That was the last little part of the insult. My wife says, "Who's the Saints quarterback again?" Is well after the game. And I said, Derek Carr. And she said, Derek Carr did that to y'all? I was like, oh, damn it. All
right.
Damn it. And her
buy or sell number 4. Shogun won the Emmy last night for the best drama series on television. You've not watched the FX show, but you soon will.
I guess at this moment I have to say sell because I have no clue what it is. So
oh my God.
I'm going to sell.
Do yourself a favor. Watch it.
I'm also highly confused, Ketch. You and I are both caught up on the show The Bear.
Yes.
Why is it in the comedy category at the Emmys? Like, that's not a comedy. What are we doing?
Nobody knows. It's
what do you mean nobody knows? They put a committee together with the Emmys, and there's comedy and there's drama.
Sometimes these awards do things like this.
Like what?
You'll see it at the Golden Globes. They'll put something in the comedy that's not a comedy.
That is so bizarre. You can't watch The Bear for 8 consecutive seconds without knowing that it's not a comedy.
But it is a funny show, which is why I think they try to sneak it into the comedy section.
It is dark comedy at best, but that's a stretch of a definition. That is not a comedy. Come on now.
All right. And finally, it's a triple threat movie on movie hotter than, okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
So this isn't prime on prime. This is the characters in the movies at the time of the movies. And it's a 3-way match.
Okay.
Karate Kid style.
Oh, okay.
Allie from Karate Kid 1,
Gotcha.
hotter than Kumiko from Karate Kid 2,
You're such a
who is
Kumiko
hotter than Julie Pierce, the next Karate Kid.
I love that you looked up her character name. There's no way you knew her actual character name, is there? You looked it up, didn't you? Yeah. You could have paid me $1 million. I wouldn't have come up with that character's name.
But I did know Kumiko's name and I did know Allie's name.
Oh my God. I think you got to ultimately, I know how much of a Kumiko fan you are, and I am as well. But overall, yes, I'm going to buy that. I'm a huge Allie fan. Every time I see Karate Kid, just very, very attractive for 80s hotness. I'll go with her. The third one is a little, I mean, she's kind of underrated if people haven't seen Karate Kid 3. Karate Kid 3 is not horrible. It's not a horrible movie. It's not like Beverly Hills Cop 3. God, nothing is. So yeah, bye. I think you got the order correct. Well done.
You wouldn't say that Hilary Swank's hotness needs to be elevated. Amongst that, okay, clearly not. You bought it.
Wait a minute. Hilary Swank. I thought you were talking about the redhead from Karate Kid 3.
No, the next Karate Kid.
Oh, Lord, I haven't seen that.
Not the little cute girl that he's planting trees on the side of.
Yeah, no, I thought that's who you were talking about. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But even if you're putting whoever you're putting in the third slot, I'll give Kumiko the love over them.
Hilary Swank played Julie Pierce in the next Karate Kid.
Are we talking about the one with Will Smith's kid?
No, that's the Karate Kid remade.
Oh, this is where Swank actually is the Karate Kid, but the Karate Kid is a girl.
Correct. And Mr. Miyagi's in the movie.
Mr. Miyagi is in it. I have not seen that movie, but I'll assume Kumiko is hotter than she was. So I'm still buying. Kumiko, I believe in you. Sight unseen.
Sight unseen. You are not taking a young Hilary Swank at that point. Okay.
Sight unseen. I'm doing the double drum for Kumiko. I don't have one of those, but that's what I'm doing.
Cool if you did.
It would be really cool, actually, if I did.
I love that you just had no reference point for Hilary Swank in that movie, just in general.
No, you said that character's name. I thought that's what the one from Karate Kid 3
but I
was.
said the next Karate Kid. Should I have said Karate Kid 4?
You did. No.
If I'd say Karate Kid 4, would you?
Right. That would have. No, that would have at least stopped me to go, what do you mean Karate Kid 4? There is no Karate Kid 4. And then you would have explained yourself.
I would have said, well, I'm really talking about the next Karate Kid, but you've never seen that movie. So I'm just trying to get you focused on the right movie.
I was excited for a second that you had a triple threat of movies I've actually seen, and then I hadn't seen one of them. So I let myself and everyone down.
Even if you hadn't seen the next Karate Kid, I would have thought that you could picture Hilary Swank in that role.
It is sexy to think of Hilary Swank kicking people in the face. Like, that's cool. I'm a Hilary Swank fan. I like Hilary. I'm not in that category of people that don't think she can be hot. She can absolutely be hot.
Put her in the question.
Yeah, she's nice.
The whole point of the triple threat was to establish where on the hotness scale Hilary Swank lies for you.
Yeah, but in the world of Karate Kid, Kumiko at the ceremony is hotter than whatever I'm imagining Hilary Swank threw out there.
Hilary Swank wearing a lot of like sweatpants in the next Karate Kid.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I could see it. Kumiko, I'm still on your side.
I've got Kumiko at number 1 for the record.
I know you do. I know you are Team Kumiko.
Now, hey, no doubt. Scroll up. Do you see the triple threat movie on Movie Hotter Than?
All right, hang on. Let me see if it's there. Dun, 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 dun. I see under the catch, buy or sell. I see 4 that you did not. No, I see 5 that you've already given me.
You don't see the Shogun?
Nope. I see nothing from today that you just said.
How can that even happen?
Don't know. I guess it just somehow didn't get inputted correctly. I don't know. That's weird.
I entered this in. Never mind. I will complain later.
Yes,
no one cares. But
we'll try to figure it out later.
Thoroughly confused.
Oh, man. All right. We'll try to get rid of some confusion. One good way to get rid of confusion is with whiskey. Specs has a whiskey sale going into October. Pay attention.
Specs for our whiskey sale and enjoy the lowest prices on Texas' largest selection of whiskey. But hurry, these deals won't last long. Specs, cheers to savings.
Nice, healthy pour at the end. No super chats that I can see. If I miss one, please let me know. Catch, just as an FYI, Barb's10 says we got to watch the new SEC short that came out today. It is hilarious. Barb's10, I will check it out. To this particular chatter, Jay Bevo Horn, Bowling Green will beat Aggie. I don't know if that's true, but Jay Bevo, I'm not overlooking the game. I told you about it last week. They went to Penn State and got up 10 early. If the Aggies aren't paying attention, I do wonder if that could become a ball game. Also, this one we can clear up, I think. Randy says Ewers hit his hand on a UTSA player's helmet on the play before the interception. That's not true, Randy. Go back and watch the replay. He kind of bash brothered it. They kind of did the arm. He hit his arm. I don't think it hit a helmet. That's what they said on the broadcast at first. It was more of an arm hit, I think, that kind of tweaked up that thumb, if you go look. And I want to give Binks credit. Did Chad add an extra layer to the helmet wall? Thank you, Binks, for noticing. Look at some of the beautiful new helmets. I went and saw my man Rick Sacamano this weekend. I got 10 new helmets from him. I got another helmet in. So I got 11 new helmets. We added a little section over here. It's very exciting.
So now we have to add another section over there.
Yeah, it may happen. It may happen. Never know. You never
Then it
know.
won't be the hall of helmets. It will be the room.
That's right. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing. And, of course, if you notice, all the NFL teams that lost are facing the corner in shame, especially.
I love it when you do that.
Especially that Dallas Cowboys helmet. Hey, how many touchdowns did Kamara get? Was it 4? Yeah, think about that. Jesus. Sorry, Catch.
No, you needed to make that helmet sit in the corner and think about what it did.
Tough love. That's what we need on that. Tough love. Dak against Lamar.
My favorite moment, Chad, was after the game, them showing, I think Clarence Hill had a video of it, but if I'm wrong, forgive me, Clarence, if you're out there, the video of Jerry storming to the locker room, and it was like, Jerry Jones not happy with the performance for this weekend. It was like, that's rich.
Yeah, right. This is the moment that gets him mad. This is the one that puts him over the edge. Because the rest of it hasn't been bad.
Jerry's mad. Okay, well, now things will get fixed.
Oh, get ready. Did you ever watch the HBO show Barry with Hader? When he would do the starting now. Right now. That's Jerry. Now I'm pissed. Now. This is what did it. Like, yeah, right. That's what it was.
I would just assume that Jerry's kind of numb to it like the rest of us.
I would think. Yeah.
Like, Jerry, that's the first time you've stormed to the home locker room after an embarrassing loss. Like, we call that Sunday in Cowboy fandom.
There's actually a groove in the floor on that path, the storming path for Jerry. By the way, fan club president, once again, not exactly how it works, but thank you for the great show. That's not money. That's just you typing numbers. That's not how it works. Thank you for sending love, but that is
again, send them an IOU.
Not a super, exactly. Not a super chat. That is not a super chat at all. All right. Before we head towards the door, I do need to give you one more bit of love for one of our partners, and it is Sinus and Snoring Specialists. If you are not sleeping well, if you are snoring like crazy, if you have sinus headaches, if you have allergy problems, this is the place that can help you. Sinus and Snoring Specialists, over 20 years of experience. Go with a place that knows what they're doing. Go with a place that has all kinds of options, because there are different options in this particular world of the allergies and sleep sleep apnea and all that stuff. If you've heard about Inspire, ask about that. If you've heard about CPAP, ask about that. You may be like me. You know some people that would marry their CPAP machine if it were legal. And then there's some people that just can't figure it out and it just doesn't work for them. My wife loves hers and can't imagine sleeping without it now. I have a friend that's the same way. I've worked with people that are the same way. And then I've also known some people that are on some different paths. They maybe didn't get along with the CPAP and they went with some other ideas. So talk to them about that. Go on in there. They will treat you right. You will meet Dr. Slaughter in the first consultation, just like I did back in 2017. Sinus and snoring specialists, feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, Mr. Ketchum, anything else we need to hit before we get out of here?
Just to support your thought on The Bear being listed as a comedy.
Uh-huh.
So Eugene Levy and his son were co-hosts.
Yes, I saw that.
You saw that where he said,
good idea.
I know some of you might be expecting us to make a joke about whether The Bear is really a comedy, but in the true spirit of The Bear, we will not be making any jokes.
That's good. Those guys hosting was a brilliant choice, by the way. Those two are excellent. I think what happened is they flipped out because they saw Jeremy Allen White and they're like, oh my God, Jeremy Allen White, dark comedy guy. It's like, Shameless is a dark comedy. Like I
just think that in season 1, some of the highlights of the show are the moments where they make us laugh. Now it's dark, right? It's like, oh, the kids got drugged up.
I could sit and think
they all passed out.
I could sit and think of the 50 moments that I loved out of The Bear. I can't think of one of them being funny, like outwardly funny.
Oh man, every time the cousin and his friend are in a scene together, they're the comic relief.
They are the comic relief. That's
those two guys just bumbling their way through life, screaming at each other. What did they do? What did they call it when one of the guys?
Maybe they help it along. Maybe that's the idea, that they somehow helped it be considered a comedy. That's weird.
I think in season 1, there's more comic pieces to it.
Yeah, that is very strange.
Even when you watch the Christmas episode where everybody comes to there's stuff going on that's funny, but it's not a comedy.
No, it's not. Just because Bob Odenkirk makes an appearance, that doesn't make it a comedy. That's like saying Better Call Saul is a comedy because Odenkirk's in it.
But I think that's what you just said, I think is the rationalization.
Yeah.
For putting it there.
That's silly.
Oh, he's a comedian and he does sketch comedies. And there are times when you laugh in Better Call Saul. And it's like, true.
Yeah. True. There are times when I laugh during Star Wars. It's not a comedy.
What makes you laugh in Star Wars?
Oh my God, are you kidding? Han Solo? Han Solo always makes me laugh.
Han makes you laugh, okay.
Oh, he's my favorite character in the Star Wars universe, of course. Laugh it up, fuzzball. I mean, come on. There's some good comedy there, but those aren't comedies. Anyway, the fact that they won is great. I know they won multiple awards. That's all that's ultimately important, I guess. All right, Catch. Anything else on this quarterback thing on a Monday? We got a lot of good stuff to talk about this week. The crazy hype train will continue. Texas is number 1 in the country. You said for 2 weeks now. By the way, let's clarify something. I want to give you your proper credit because somebody tried to rip you at the beginning of the show by saying, Catch, you said that I thought you said they wouldn't be number 1. Let's be clear. Catch 2 weeks ago said he would have voted Texas number 1. And when I asked in the postgame show, when Georgia was done, I said, are they going to be number 1? And Catch said, I don't think they will. I think enough voters are going to hold, stand pat. But you said you would vote them number 1. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. Catch thought they should be number 1, and they are as of yesterday.
I got to be honest. Somebody showing up today and going, ha! Game show. You were wrong. It's such an example of like what I have to deal with, Chad.
I know. That's why I wanted to defend you. Just take a moment so you don't have to do it. You did say you would have, and I said on the post-game show, I went with more of the old school vibe where I'm like, you know what? Maybe you give Georgia sort of the respect of it. But you made a great point in post game. Georgia is not riding, even though it should just be about this year. We know that defending national champs get love. Teams on long winning streaks get love. And Georgia's not either one of those right now. They did lose to Bama. They got knocked out of the playoff. And the other thing is South Carolina didn't help them, Catch. South Carolina went to Kentucky ahead of them and tore Kentucky up. That's different. They beat them by basically 4 touchdowns. You can't follow that up if you're Carson Beck with a limping, crawling, rock fight 13-12 with Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers doing what they were doing over here. You can't expect AP voters to go, well, Georgia's still the best team in my eyes. Give me the Bulldogs. I understand why 31 voters moved. I do.
I'm still surprised. So I would just say, guys, I'm wrong all the time. So don't get too happy when it happens. I promise if you just wait 5 minutes, it'll happen again. Believe me, my Prize Picks accounts this week will reflect that. Bad. Sorry, Chad. Don't try to assault me.
Why would you just? All you had to do was say bad. That's all you had to say, right?
Is all I had to say. That happened. That just came out. That just happened.
Had to go to a sheep joke, huh? Just had to.
I mean, I didn't have to. I did, though.
Just had to. Interesting that both sides of the house divided are talking quarterbacks this week.
Hey, Teta, just so you know.
Oh, we cannot make that promise.
We will be creating headlines and thumbnails that you're going to want to click all week long. Just so you know.
You are going to be a catfish on the end of that line. Chomp!
Matter of fact, tomorrow's headline is Quinn back already.
Tomorrow's headline is Does Quinn Hate Arch? And then Wednesday is Does Arch Hate Quinn? Get ready.
Quinn set to transfer. Oh, just so you know.
No.
It'll have a question mark at the end of it, though, Chad. It'll be okay because it'll have a question mark. It's a question.
Hell yeah.
It's a question.
We call that intrigue, Teta. That's intrigue, not clickbait. Intrigue.
I'm okay with clickbait.
Yeah, we are. That is what it is. That is what it is. That is what it's designed to do. We hope it does. Over 1,200 of you are in the Specs chat right now, and we appreciate that. We sincerely appreciate it.
Arch's hand falls off, just question mark.
Yeah, see, Text Guy 2 is absolutely right. Justin Timberlake would say, can't stop the clickbait. That's what he would say.
Is that what a sober Justin Timberlake would say, or one who's intoxicated behind the wheel?
Can't
stop the clickbait.
No, the one behind the wheel. I can't stop the clickbait. Yeah. That's what that would be. All right.
See, you make us do this, people. You make us do this.
Yes, it's your fault. What makes us do this is when it goes past 1:30. That's what makes us do this.
By the way, just so you know, there will be this week.
Deputy Quinn calls for backup. Right, Cotton? That commercial, I'm assuming, is not going to go away. We'll see. We'll see this weekend if the Dr. Pepper people catch. Are they going to be nice? Then are they going to continue and just kind of move it? Because they've got that hype train one ready to go, right? They've been playing that one a lot. I didn't see a ton of Quinn over the weekend, but I got to think there's something.
I saw Quinn all weekend.
There's got to be something there. I'm assuming it's still going to be mixed in. I'm assuming that is going to be the case. By the way, Catch, real quick, let's throw a get well out. It's raining clickbait. Yes. Hallelujah. Thank you, Randy. Let's throw a quick get well out to a Texas commit, KJ Lacey. A little bit of an injury over the weekend. I saw a little note from Jason Sukamel on orangebloods.com. He reached out to KJ. He's good, but he is going to miss a couple weeks. It's an MCL, I believe, in a knee. But,
not worst case, but not great case either.
Exactly right. It's not the worst story, but obviously not terrific. But he's going to have to miss a couple weeks. So get well quickly to KJ Lacey. So current Longhorn quarterback, future Longhorn quarterback, all a little banged up. There you go. And then BT Pet Rooster, $4.99. Shots fired. Chad catching farm animal stray jokes. You know what, BT? I wish somebody sent $4.99 in a super chat every time I caught a sheep joke on this show, because we'd be rolling in it. We'd be Scrooge McDucking in the money at this point if everybody sent $5 every time somebody tried to sneak in a sheep joke.
I don't even know what happened there, Chad. It just happened.
Well, as soon as you went with the bad, I thought, wait, did he make a prize pick with an Aggie? Is that the joke he's made? And then you just went ahead and sold it with, sorry, Chad, sheep joke 2024. Blah. Okay. All right.
Hey, you guys won this weekend. Be happy.
I am happy.
Stop letting me bring you down.
Trust me, if there's one thing I have not done in 25 plus years, it's let you or anybody else change my mood about any football, Aggie or otherwise. Yeah, it happens.
It was an animal stray joke, and the pet rooster saw that so clearly.
Yeah, exactly. No problem.
Okay,
You good?
I'm good, Chad. No more sheep jokes. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
We can sign off.
As I've been saying for years, sometimes the easiest joke is also the most obvious joke. And sometimes it gets the most laughs. So what are you going to do? Remember to like, subscribe, and get your notifications. Football with Friends at 6 o'clock tonight. You got the Outsiders tonight at 8:30, breaking down what we saw and talking about Texas as the number one team in the country. Old Fashioned at 9 tomorrow. The Modcast is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. By the way, Catch, as we speak right now on this Monday, 75 days until House Divided gets back together. 75 days until the Aggies host the Longhorns in College Station. And there will be a sheep joke told, or two, or 2,000, or 2 million that day in College Station.
College Station. Over 2 million served.
There it is. There it is. And now he's particularly proud of himself. Until tomorrow at noon, when the next sheep joke will happen, we are House Divided. Y'all take care of yourselves.
Have a good day.